Now, you've probably heard of the 12 days of Christmas, but have you heard of the 12 dates of Christmas?
That's right. We're coming at you this week with 12 things that your family can do that are cheap or free to celebrate Christmas leading up to
The big day.
the big day.
Let's do it
Let's get into that.
right now.
Hi, I'm Andrea.
I'm Nathan.
And you've joined us for Family Friday on the Marriage by Design podcast. And this is a time where we get to talk about, usually, God's design for family and kind of how we live that out and how we see that in the Bible. This is less about God's design for family in the Bible and what the Bible has to say and more kind of practical.
That's right.
This week. So we are talking this week about 12 family dates that you could have in this week leading up to Christmas and in the Christmases to come, of course, too, that are free or cheap.
That's right.
Just some fun things that we thought of that would be really good to make some memories. Maybe some of these you'll create traditions out of.
Sure.
Just some things for you to really come together as a family and celebrate the season.
That's right. So this is dovetailing off of our discussion last week where we talked a little bit about how we look at Christmas, right? How do you, keep people focused on what's really important, or, is that something that we need to be doing? Is really wrestling to make sure that it becomes all about the baby Jesus. And so you can certainly access that podcast. Love you to do that. You can access that here. But dovetailing off of that, one of the big things we talked about last week was this is a really cool time to build family memories. And so what we wanted to do is put together just a list of a few things, 12 of them in this case, that you can do with your family that cost nothing or very little, but are fun things to do together as a family.
Right.
So we're going to count these down from 12 to 1, right?
Yes.
So Andrew and I came up with these together, brainstorming, hey, what are fun things that we'd love to pass out to the folks that are listening? But Andrea ranked them on her own, so I have not seen her rankings. So if you've seen our top fives that we do every fifth week of the month, this is not entirely that way because we did come up with the list together, but I do not know what she ranked where, and so when she is wrong, if she is wrong, I will tell her so.
I'm not wrong ever.
That's right. So, with that being said, let's dive right into it.
All right, the first one is not very...
First one being 12.
First one being number 12 is not very oh man, I wouldn't have ever thought about that. But anyway, watching Christmas movies, watching what we had written down as classic Christmas movies. Right. Which classic maybe just from your childhood. But watching Christmas movies together, and I had the idea too of making a hot chocolate bar. Yeah. Which is super fun.
Kids love it. Cinnamon sticks and peppermint sticks
and marshmallows and That's right. Our kids love hot chocolate bars.
Yeah.
So
no doubt.
That's a fun little add-in do popcorn and hot chocolate.
Yeah, totally. And if you've got them Christmas jammies, right? This is a good opportunity to break out the Christmas jammies. When I think about this is partly 12, I think, for us, and I think I agree with that, just because you're not necessarily investing in each other as a family when you're all sitting together watching a movie, but that doesn't make it less fun, right? We love watching family movies.
And there is a difference in putting a movie on for the kids and you doing your own thing and watching a movie with the kids. There is a difference, and there's even studies that say that.
That's right.
So the togetherness is a good thing.
That's right. And when I said classics, I'm thinking It's a Wonderful Life. Right?
Miracle on 34th Street.
Miracle on 34th Street. It's a Wonderful Life in particular, that particular one. There's a lot of life stuff that you can pull out of that that even young kids will understand. Yeah. And it's totally family friendly. There's nothing in It's a Wonderful Life that even a young child, they might be maybe a little more bored. But that'd be a great movie. What are some other classics, babe? If your kids are like a little touch older. Home Alone, the Home Alone movies are great.
Yeah, the Santa Claus.
Yeah, the Tim Allen and the Santa Claus. Those movies are great.
I wouldn't call those classics, but they're things from like when we were a little bit younger.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I at this point, I would say if you're a millennial generation, that I would say Home Alone and the Santa Claus movies are classic. I mean, they're the least nostalgic,
yes,
right, from the time that
sure.
we were young. If you, depending on your viewpoint on rated movies, if you have older kids, Die Hard is a classic Christmas movie.
I knew you were going to bring that up. Oh my god.
There's tons of life lessons you can
dumb.
learn from Die Hard about standing up for your wife. And I mean, it's obviously one of the classics. But I mean, there is Christmas movies are great. I mean, it's good. Now, I won't launch into Hallmark Christmas movies. That would be an entire conversation. Avoid those. Those are neither classic nor wholesome for your family. Don't do it. Do not do it.
Duly noted.
I'm looking at you. You. Don't do it.
All right, let's move on to number 11 before Nathan just goes off on a tangent.
That's right.
Okay, so at number 11, I have the play name that tune. Fun game.
This is great.
It's nothing like earth-shattering in that, but it is a fun game. We've never done a Christmas version of it, but we do play some Name That Tune
a lot
with like Disney songs.
Yep.
And our kids love it, and we have a lot of laughs and a lot of competition.
Yep.
So Name That Tune is a really fun game.
Yeah, this is great. And I'm forgetting what some of the other 12 are, but I might even have put this up a little bit higher, particularly if your kids are young. Our kids love playing Name That Tune.
I think I just happened to put it number 11 because we do it so often that it's not like...
Yeah, it wouldn't be a specific Christmas thing. Yeah. But they're super helpful. I mean, obviously you can just put a song on, like, do a Christmas playlist on like YouTube Music or whatever, but there are tons of videos on YouTube specific to Christmas where someone's done all the work for you, where it plays the music but takes out the voices and gives you 10 or 15 seconds, and then it says it on the screen what song it is. So there's tons of those out there. Same thing for Disney if you wanted to do a Disney one down the road. There's tons of them, and we've done, I think, all of them.
They're so fun.
Kids love it, even down to Riker. If you have younger kids, a lot of times, like, I'll pause it, even, and then I'll give Riker a chance. And if Riker says, I don't know it, then I'll give Ryan a chance. And then I'll give Jackson a chance. Yeah. And then by the time, it's Jackson, then, I might, count down 5 fingers on my hand. And if he doesn't get it by the time I get down to 0, then I get a chance to say it if I know it. So it's a fun way to do it as a family, kind of competitive and a blast. But great way to celebrate the season.
Yeah. So, okay, then my number 10 is talk about family goals. And that's a great thing to do, but it's less like hearty-har fun, and more serious. That's why I put it a little bit further down the line.
Sure.
So, talking about family goals is a really great thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Christmas thing, but spending the time just to take some time as a family, enjoying just each other and talking about what are our goals as a family. Is really great. And if we can take some time around Christmas to slow down and do that, I think that's important.
Yeah, I totally agree. On Marriage Mondays, we've been talking about, this last Monday, we talked about planning for next year as a couple. And you can catch that video here. But, before... Like, in addition to that, this is a great way to bring your kids in on, hey, your mom and I have been doing this, but we'd love to know, what are your goals, right? And the thing I would suggest is maybe to keep it manageable, do, one work goal. And if your kids are in school, that's their work at that age. But, what's one goal you have professionally or academically if you're in school? And what's one goal you have that's fun? Mm-hmm. Right? Or you could do other categories as well. But yeah, that's great. And it's a great way to learn where your kids are at with what they're thinking about. And I'd encourage you to write those down and maybe revisit them as you do some family devotion time over the years. A real opportunity to meet your kids where they're at and encourage them in their goals, and also, hold them accountable, right? You may have a child. We don't, but some people might have a child that's 10 and whose name starts with J that deals with laziness.
Calling him out.
And so it's a good.
If you watch this in the future, Jack.
It's a good opportunity. I'm sure by the time you watch this in the future, you will have broken that habit. But this is a great way for us to help you with that, because if he says, "Hey, I have a goal of, doing this thing 3 times a month," I'm able to go to him and say, "Hey, that was your goal. Where you at with that?"
Yeah, and it's a good time too to start, especially as they get to 10 years old, talking about SMART goals, and we talked about that in one of our episodes this last week.
Yep, that one that I just linked up a second ago at the top.
And so starting to teach our kids at young age what is a SMART goal, and
totally
talking about how to achieve those, and kind of helping along with the process.
Yeah, that's a good one, babe. Real good.
Okay, so then my number 9 is look at lights downtown. Probably most of us live in areas that have a downtown that they light up around Christmas. So we have a downtown where they put out, we have a downtown and a midtown where they put out a lot of lights, and they really light it up. And then there's other fun things going on. Like our downtown has an ice skating rink, and they have little like igloo type things, blow up igloos that they put out in one space where you can rent those out and like have dinner in there, and that would not be a cheap thing to do. But just looking at lights and ice skating wouldn't be too terribly expensive, but just going around on a not super frigid windy night, but getting bundled up and walking around together, and maybe taking our own hot chocolate out there in some thermoses or something, would be a super fun thing.
You're all about the hot chocolate.
I guess. I'm not really into hot chocolate.
Our kids are.
I don't like chocolate, but my kids do. Yeah, I like the hot apple cider or a chai latte.
Nice. Yeah, and this is a great one. I mean, go spend some time downtown, get a cup of coffee while you're there if you are so inclined, and
it's fun to just like bundle up and
particularly if you don't get to spend a lot of time downtown.
Yeah.
Right? So, we're in the kind of the suburb part of the city that we live in, and so we don't get to go downtown a lot. So it kind of is like, it gives your kids that idea that like, oh, this is something out of the ordinary.
Yes,
and, that it sort of primes them for like, okay, memories are about to be made because we're going to go do something that we don't get to do very often. Yeah. So I think that's a great way of doing it, babe. Good call.
Okay, then number 8 is a Christmas scavenger hunt or bingo.
Yeah.
So you can do this any way you want. You could do it around your house. You could do it around your neighborhood where you're taking a walk. If you live somewhere nice, you're so lucky that you don't have to like bundle up to go do this.
Right.
But it's maybe a little
40
bit easier.
Here next week.
40, yes, it'll be 40 though, which is super warm for December.
Right.
But you could do this in your neighborhood, like a scavenger hunt or bingo could be, lights that say Merry Christmas, or a snowman or Santa Claus or whatever.
Yeah.
Something like that. So you make it up, or you could I don't know, just go on a drive and see how many things you can find.
This is another thing where the internet is your friend. Because there's a number of websites that have ready to print. I mean, Pinterest has a number of these.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
Right. I mean, where you can do either way, bingo or a scavenger hunt, where you print them off. And I mean, some of them are customizable. Some of them are just, able to print them off and then go.
Yeah.
And there's everything from like picture scavenger hunts, which are great, where it has a list of things that you need to get a picture of, right? A picture with a real life Santa Claus, a picture with Rudolph, it's got all these different things. And you just, particularly if you have older kids or a larger family where you can divide up into groups, I would suggest if you have sons and daughters, Dad, take your daughters on your team and go. Mom, take your sons on your team and go, and divide up the teams that way. And scavenger hunts are hilarious fun anyway.
Right.
So then add in the Christmas sort of theme on skin on top of that. Man, totally recommend it. I saw one when I was kind of doing the research for this article or this podcast, where one of the picture ones was a video of someone in your group making a snow angel without their coat on. As that was one of the things that you needed to do.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just there's tons of them out there. They all looked fun. And this is totally, I mean, our kids are probably a little young for this, but our kids, we're definitely doing
No,
this.
they're not too young. I'm thinking like Riker maybe too young, so we could leave like 2 little boys with a grandparent.
Yeah, just here alone.
Yeah, just here alone. But do it against another family, like another family that's friends of yours and has kids that are maybe this similar age or whatever.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Or if you have family that gets together around the Christmas time, go out and have a scavenger hunts kind of as a family fun thing.
That's a good call, babe. I'm glad I'm watching this podcast. I'm getting lots of good ideas. This is great. Totally do this.
So Nathan's family, if you're watching this podcast, we might be doing a Warnock family scavenger hunt this year.
Yeah.
It's fun. So,
totally fun. It's great. This needs to be higher. I feel like this is a disputed situation.
Right. Maybe it should have been higher. For sure. Now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking maybe it should be. Okay.
All right.
So then, number 7, make a craft. And you don't like this one. You think it should have been lower. It's higher for me because I know how much the kids love doing it.
Yeah.
I don't love it as much as they love it because it's always messy and things aren't ever as fun as they seem like they're going to be. But the kids love it, especially if it involves glitter.
Oh, gosh.
So, and it's the worst. But get a Dyson cordless. It makes baking with kids and crafting with kids so much more palatable.
Yeah,
because it's so much easier to clean up after them because I just, get it out. And
totally. Mr. Dyson, if you're watching this, call me.
Yeah, it's been the saving grace for us. But making some sort of, Christmas craft or holiday craft or whatever, like...
Yeah, totally.
The kids love it. If it has something to do with getting messy, even better.
Yeah.
And I am definitely one who does not like messes, and with 4 kids there's constantly messes everywhere anyway, but it's one of those things, that's like a memory maker for the kids. They just love those sorts of things.
Yeah, there's something about young kids that also just love having something at the end of the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like cooking. Right. At the end of the time, I have this thing that I made.
Right.
There's just something about that. The other thing about this is a great opportunity for us to get our kids focused on other people.
Yes.
Right? I mean, if you've got a cool... thing that a craft that you found that the kids are excited about doing, this may be a good opportunity to ask them, well, who can we bless with this craft? Maybe let's make something for our pastor. Let's make something for our teachers. Maybe a friend down the street or someone that, you guys have identified that are less fortunate than you are. Something like that just, it's handmade. You can put a note with it. It's a great opportunity to share the love of Christ with somebody else. Through a tangible, something other than, hey, I bought you a gift card.
Right.
So it's good.
Okay, so the next thing is a family white elephant.
Yeah.
Gift exchange. And this can be done in so many different ways. But, if you have older kids, it's fun because maybe you set a limit of like a couple bucks. And
totally,
they're searching out the Goodwill or the Dollar Tree or whatever. If they're little kids, obviously helping them with that is fun. And then you can have a riot with the exchange of that and whatever.
Yeah, this is another opportunity that you can make taking responsibility a fun thing, right? Maybe, now it's tough because we're putting this video out, a week before Christmas, but this year. But if you're watching this after the fact or maybe for next year, in November, maybe Thanksgiving, you sit down with your kids and say, hey, we want to do a white elephant gift exchange. Each of you have the opportunity to earn up to $15 to put towards that. here's the things that you need to do in order to be a part of that, and go from there.
Right.
And maybe they choose to do that, maybe they don't choose to do that, and then they miss out on some
Right.
of that. But it's a good opportunity to let them earn the opportunity to be a part of that.
Yes. Yep.
And white elephant gift exchanges are hilarious and amazing. Now, that being said, if your kids are, the way the white elephant, if you're not familiar with what a white elephant gift exchange is, then, you put a pile of gifts in the middle, you draw a number, 1 goes, they pick a gift, they open it, number 2 goes, and he can either steal number 1's gift or open his own or her own gift and go around there. But, I suppose there's a chance, especially if you have younger kids, that the whole stealing of gifts thing potentially would not go over well. Sure. So you might think about modifying the rules, in that regard. But otherwise, white elephant gift exchanges are great.
Yep. Okay, number 5, make ornaments.
Christmas tree ornaments.
Christmas tree ornaments. Yeah. Even better if it has their picture on it somehow.
Totally.
Because it's fun to look back at those ornaments that have the kids' pictures on it and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's what they looked like when they were 4 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
So making ornaments together and really letting your kids make the ornament.
Yeah.
And not trying to get too involved as a parent.
Totally.
But it's a fun, it's a fun activity. It's a great thing to remember that year in future years. So.
Yeah. Again, I mean...
And there's lots of Pinterest ideas you can get to make ornaments.
For me, one of the cool things about this particular idea is it gives us an opportunity to reinforce the idea of creating altars to celebrate the things that the Lord's given us.
Yeah.
We've talked several times in the last month. I feel like this has been a theme that the Lord's brought us back to, of how important it is to Him commemorating the things that He's done in our lives. Mm-hmm. We call it building altars, right? Because that's what the Lord instructed the Israelite people to do in the Old Testament. And we've gotten away from that, and it's so easy to forget the things He's done. Well, this ornament idea is a great way to talk with our kids about, hey, let's do an ornament, and as part of it, let's see if we can incorporate things into that celebrate what happened this last year. Yeah. And they might think like, oh, I'm going to use Cheerios because that reminds me of toilet paper, which reminds me of when toilet paper was really hard to find this year, right? That's a 2020 thing. But, that it's they're thinking creative, but they're also, that's something your family 15 years from now, when your kids are grown and maybe that ornament's hanging in their house, they look at that and go, Cheerios. Remember that toilet paper thing? I mean, it's going to create an altar that you're going to always remember. In that example, how the Lord brought you through a difficult time.
Right.
It's a great idea. I love that, making ornaments idea. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Number 4, look at Christmas lights, and this can be done in a whole bunch of different ways. But you can just make it like, hey, we're going to do a walking tour of our neighborhood on a nice night, and that would totally be my, more ideal. I love family walks. My family doesn't really love them, but I think the kids don't.
I love them.
I love family walks. So, doing a walking tour of the neighborhood would be super fun on a night that's not too cold. But you can do that. You can pile everybody in the car, and again, the hot chocolate comes up.
I was just going to say, what if you need something to drink while you're on this?
Pile everybody in the car, have some hot chocolate, and go look at lights. Probably most cities do what our city does, and there's lists of amazing neighborhood lights that are going on.
Yeah.
So search out a neighborhood that you want to go to and go look at them, and maybe you go to several different neighborhoods and you rank them at the end of the night.
Totally.
But something fun like that, and just the laziness of driving around and sitting in the car and drinking some hot chocolate and laughing and making the memories is super fun. There's just something fun about that. And
there's totally, this concept of looking at Christmas lights, this ain't the looking at Christmas lights that we remember growing up.
Yeah.
We've got multiple neighborhoods here in our city where they do it together as a neighborhood. They have their own choreographed, you can turn your radio to a certain station and it broadcasts their chosen Christmas music, and everything's set to timers, and it's nuts, and it's awesome. And I'm sure probably most cities probably have a neighborhood or two that do that. So yeah, totally. Search this out. This is a place where Facebook can be really helpful for finding, extravagant holiday light celebrations in your local area.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
And the positive side of the time change that we experience in October is it gets dark really early. So even if your kids are early to bed people, you can go out at 5:30 and
totally
hit the darkness,
Yeah, that's right.
And be back in time for all that.
Great call. That's good. Go look at Christmas lights. That's great. What was that? Number 3?
Number 4?
Number 4.
Yep.
All right, so now number 3.
3 is one that we've talked about too. Coloring under or around the Christmas tree.
Yeah, it's huge for me.
So I know that seems crazy to have that as number 3, but our kids love it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think it's just the nostalgia for them. But coloring under or around the Christmas tree together is something it's such a restful activity. It's not anything that we have to plan for or go somewhere and do or whatever. So it's very restful. There's conversations that happen as we're coloring.
Yep.
It's just a sweet time, and our kids love it.
Yeah, and it's, when I was growing up, my parents were great about this one. And, we'd get around shortly after Thanksgiving each year, we would get an individual coloring book for each of us. And, my parents would find something they thought we'd be interested in. They'd get us a coloring book, and it was amazing. But, we'd color, just a few pages out of that book, and then that's it. Well, the great thing now is, I just today was online searching and printing for free coloring pages that were unique to each of what the kids like.
Right.
The video game that Jackson's into, there's coloring pages for that.
Of course.
Santa stuff, princess stuff, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff, it's all there. And it's all free.
Right.
And it's just a matter of having a computer and a printer, and you can print that stuff off, and then you have pages to color. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's number 3 for us is coloring under, or not everybody can fit under or around the Christmas tree.
Yeah, you gotta be careful how you phrase it, because we said coloring under the Christmas tree, and now Riker insists on physically being under the Christmas tree.
But they love it. It's like a little confined space with twinkle lights above them.
Great.
They love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2 then is silly Christmas dress up and then maybe you're going to Goodwill, so silly Christmas dress up.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to the Goodwill and putting together silly Christmas outfits, or maybe just finding a silly Christmas shirt.
Yep.
Or something that you can get and make a silly Christmas shirt out of.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Or things that you can get to make a silly Christmas hat. Whatever. Whatever that looks like for you. So dressing up some silly way for Christmas. And then the icing on the cake of that is going out to get dessert.
Sure.
It costs $1 at most restaurants to get an ice cream cone. So go out and get some ice cream cones. It doesn't have to be very expensive. Or go out to dinner if you want to go out to dinner. But you look crazy together, and you can laugh at yourselves, and other people can laugh at you, and you can enjoy that.
Yeah, or combine a couple of these things. Go do the silly Christmas outfits, and then go walk around downtown and look at the decorations. Right? That doesn't cost anything except whatever you decide on to do for the outfits. So this is a sort of reference back to a video that we did fairly early on in the channel that was a top five things we like to do to have fun together.
Yes, I think that's what it was.
I think that's what it was. I will put a link to that here so that you can check that out if you would like. But specifically, one of those was the Goodwill date. That's the one you're looking for in that video. And this is a Christmas version of that. And I totally agree. It's great. It's, and it's really easy now. You can get a red sweatshirt for super cheap and glue Christmas paper wrapping to it, right? You can do tons of stuff here. Chance to be creative, look silly, have some fun, make memories for the Christmas season. Right. It's a great idea. I love it.
Okay, number 1.
What is it?
All right, you're not remembering?
I'm not remembering.
It's read classic Christmas stories around the tree. I love reading to my kids. Love it.
Yeah, you're much better about that than I am.
And I love it because it's engaging for my mind and their minds. It's great for them, and they snuggle in. And they are usually pretty calm. My kids are there's a lot of loud things going on during the day. And so reading for me is cool because they're sitting down usually and being pretty quiet and they're engaged. And it's just kind of quiet for a little while. So that's partially why I love reading. But it's also just a time to like connect in a different way and just be close with each other. And
yeah, it's great.
I really love that. So yeah,
it's great.
Reading classic Christmas stories or just any Christmas stories together around the tree.
It's great. Yeah, it's good. And you're really good. You're really good about that. I don't know that I would put that as my number one. I'm sure you wouldn't.
Yeah. So what would you put as your number one?
Coloring under the Christmas tree, I think.
That would be your number one.
I think so.
Wow.
I mean, it's just such a... One, it's like... The reason I would put that in there over the Goodwill date, I think, is because it's such a low barrier to entry. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's just hit print on a few pictures, grab the colored pencils or the markers and go.
Right, or pick up a coloring book from the Dollar Tree.
Exactly.
And take pages out.
Exactly. I mean, it's such like a... It's something that if you're watching this video 5 minutes from right now, you can be doing it.
Yes.
Like, that's one of the things I love about that.
Yeah.
And, so it's easy to do, over and over and over and over again, for this week as we go up to Christmas is kind of like a connect as a family and, relax. Because as we talked about in our first Christmas episode, the Christmas season can be stressful.
It can be, yeah.
And so carving out time to do that's great.
Time to relax, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and there's other things we didn't put on the list that are more obvious, like making Christmas cookies together and decorating them, which is really fun for the kids. We just made some cookies today, and there's all sorts of things that you can do that are probably more.
Yeah, I mean, going Christmas shopping is something a lot of people like to do together.
Wrapping
gifts. I mean, all those are great. We wanted to try and come up with a few that were not probably like already right on your radar.
Yep.
So, and you know what? That raises up a good point. As you're listening to this, you're probably thinking, man, we've got some really cool things that we like to do.
Let us know.
We'd love to know, because we're always looking for more cool ideas of things to do with our family.
New Year's. Do you have like New Year's traditions with the kids?
Ooh, good call.
So, I love the New Year's traditions that are like celebrating the New Year, but at like noon for the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like the zoo will do a
animal balloon drop at like noon or whatever. I don't know what time they do it at exactly, but they do it in the middle of the day, so it's like a fun thing because the young kids aren't staying up till midnight. Right.
And then there's several other places around town that do things like that.
Yeah.
I think those are super fun.
Yeah, it's great. That's a great call, babe. So yeah, please put it out in the comments below. If you're listening to this on audio only, please pop over to our Facebook page and give us a comment to let us know what things you like to do. Also, just want to personally invite you on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. We will be having a conversation about this exact thing. So I'll put an invitation out there on Facebook and through YouTube for that. It will be a Facebook Live and YouTube Live, so you can jump on either way, but we'd love to have you come on and tell us a little bit on that.
Right.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Have a very Merry Christmas. We're thrilled that you have chosen to listen to this and join us for this episode. Love to invite you back to listen to our other episodes of Family Friday and Marriage Monday that are available on our channel. Love to have you subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you know when new things come out if you are on YouTube, or subscribe on podcast if that's your preferred way of doing it. But guys, mostly we're just happy you're here with us.
Yeah.
Hope you have a very Merry Christmas. And remember, God is for your family. Merry Christmas.
Hey, thanks for joining us on Marriage by Design. If you were impacted by this video, like it by hitting the thumbs up below. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and once you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can be notified when new episodes release.
Excellent. Also, one of the huge pillars of our show is interactivity between us and you. So we would love you to comment down in the comments below if you have thoughts about this video, or if you have questions or other things you'd like to see considered in the future. In addition, if you'd like, you can email us. That's marriagebydesignpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram @marriagebydesignpodcast, or you can find us on Facebook by searching Marriage by Design Podcast. Finally, if you want to, you can tweet at us. We do have a Twitter account that is @marriagexdesign. Thanks, and have a great day.